You don't even have a house.
The house that's on the land that we bought has asbestos in it, and we had to remove it before the fire
I thought
department
you
burns it
burnt it
down.
down.
Before we burn it down, we have to remove the asbestos.
What the fuck were you guys doing out there that one day?
Just doing other stuff. So I went out there with gloves and the gas mask. I felt kind of safe. I double bagged it. You know, like when you're scared of a girl, you double bag it. I put 2 gas masks over my face. My father-in-law, no gloves, no gas mask.
I've never had a girl that I wanted to double bag. I'm not scared of anything.
Rest in peace to my father-in-law, and let's get loaded. Welcome to the Loaded Box Podcast,
Where we never finish first because we finish last.
Thank you for tuning in to the Loaded Box Podcast. I am Ben Morgan. That is DJ Primo. And folks, we are finally back. We're back following the wedding. We're now both officially married. I can't believe that this day came. All I got to say is, ladies, you had your chance. I don't know what you were waiting for.
You know what's funny is I was thinking about this on my way home. I literally just got home from my 5-day vacation. I feel like our whole relationship was predicated on the fact that you were single, and now I don't even feel like you're my best friend anymore. Like, I don't even want to be your friend now. Like, wow, it's boring now. I can't live through you, and
That's true.
what is the point?
I never thought about that. I'm gonna start losing friends now. But I'm gonna get I'm gonna get like old friends now. Like people that have like similar things, like people that have kids. Like once I have kids, like I'm gonna enter that stage of my life.
Yeah, but I don't really like you anymore. I was like, God, are we not friends now?
Folks, I think this is episode 134. It could be the last.
It's the last one.
Oh my gosh.
History right here.
The last time we talked, we did NFC picks from each division that we predict to either boom or bust. And this week, we are going to I think we were off like what, a week and a half, 2 weeks?
It seemed like way too long.
Yeah, so today we're going to jump back in and we're going to do the same thing, but the AFC. So if you missed out on the NFC one, by all means, go back and check that one out. It was a fun episode. We're going to do it today just with the AFC. But before we start, because some of our long-term listeners, they know that I got married a week from yesterday, I think it was. I should know this kind of stuff.
I don't know, man.
But man, we felt I needed to represent the podcast at some point during the wedding. And I think the time that it was captured the most was right away. We were all kind of together at the rehearsal. We're at the church. And a quick backstory. I'll make this as short as possible so we can get going. But my mother-in-law, she's all about the church, wants to respect everything. And I didn't even see this happen, but apparently all the guys were joking around and stuff. And she looked at my soon-to-be wife at the time and said, "They're joking around too much. This is too much. This is God's house. This isn't a place to joke." And my wife basically said, "They'll be fine. They'll be fine." And then she looks at the entire gathering. We're about to start the rehearsal. And she goes, "Welcome." And then here's me, "To the Loaded Box Podcast." And apparently my mother-in-law just put her head in her hands and just shook her head.
Oh, that's why she was so pissed the rest of the night.
Yeah, so I learned that in church, God doesn't have a sense of humor. Apparently Jesus doesn't like jokes, is what I learned from the rehearsal dinner. But I could have swore he did. I mean, he made jokes. He turned water into wine. He was like a little stand-up comedian himself, so I figured he could get over it.
Well, you forgot. Well, as people don't know or do, I don't know, I was one of the best men in Ben's wedding, and I did a whole little bit on the loaded box at the beginning of the speech.
Oh, that was beautiful.
I love how I was excited to just throw in that's enough about the podcast, but just please subscribe, rate, and review. So, I just had to toss that in there. It's we made it about the podcast.
We definitely did, and I loved that. One last thing before we start, when you were talking, because obviously at weddings you got old people, you got family members. So DJ said something along the lines of and for all of you who don't know what a podcast is, it's where we basically talk to each other, but record it and release it for everybody. So we had
force our families and friends to listen to it.
We had a blast, but ladies, you waited too long. I don't need none of you sniffing around my DMs anymore, so get out of there, all right?
Yeah, but that was a real problem.
It was. I'm just kidding. Ever since I've been married, man, just clogging up my DM. Yeah. So, well, let's jump into it. Let's go right into the AFC East. DJ, I'll let you kick it off with your sleeper choice. We're talking standard fantasy football. Going through division by division. We'll do a sleeper and a bust from each one. DJ, kick it off with your sleeper.
So my sleeper is, I've been hammering this guy about as much as I've been hammering Aaron Jones.
Yeah, recently suspended Aaron Jones.
Yeah, just hammering him. So I've said it once. It's Sony Michel, going ADP of 5.02 that makes him RB25. If I've said it once, I'll say it again. Bill Belichick would not draft a running back in the first round if he does not plan on featuring it. Like, I cannot express this enough. This isn't a Tennessee Titans team where they're building for the future. This is the Patriots. They're going to win now. They're not going to just rest them. They're going to play them. On top of that, I said preseason that when I watched tape of all the running backs, after not including Saquon Barkley here, to me, Sony Michel stood out as the most explosive, elusive, and just aware running back. So as long as he stays away from those fumble issues that everybody keeps talking about, I think he's going to be a monster this year. I think you can see him finish at the top, at worst, at high RB2 position. Like, that's what I think he can do. I'm really excited about this guy, and more excited that Bill Belichick would ever draft a running back at the end of a first round. That I think is enough for me to know that this guy's going to have a huge impact on this offense.
Right. The only thing about Michel is I think he's going, I don't think he's going super late. Like, obviously, early in the fifth round isn't super late.
I was thinking it was going to be later.
But the thing is, with a rookie, you just never know. So, obviously, any rookie in my eyes is a sleeper, maybe outside of Barkley, just because he's so propped up right now in drafts. Gosh, he is going unbelievably early. But I'm with you. If there's another rookie running back, he should. But I'm passing on Penny, and I'm going straight to Sony Michel. I don't mind James White. I still like him in that offense. But Deion Lewis is gone. I think Burkhead's going to get his touches. But I think I've said this on the pod before. It's going to be White and Burkhead kind of early, and as time goes on, it's going to be Michel. And I don't think it's going to take that long for them to realize what they have here. And I would, by all means, welcome Sony Michel onto my fantasy team. I mean, you're talking fifth round. You're looking at a guy you're probably going to have to use quite often. But like you said, Belichick isn't just going to let him sit. He's going to use him and win now.
I don't know what the word I was going to use was there, but the whole point of putting him here is I would think that I would have, knowing me, I'm going to have two running backs already before him. So if I got him in the fifth round, which I probably won't, I'm trying to hope I can get him earlier, but if I got him in the fifth round as a third running back, I would feel like I have a steal because I think he's going to be a RB1 or 2 already. So
right, and then it's kind of like insurance. Like, you can use him as a flex, or if one of your guys goes down, you're still confident using him as one of your top running backs. So, yeah, no complaints there by my end. I know last time
he must be moving up.
Oh, he does. He keeps jumping up a lot.
Yeah, I thought he was in the sixes. There's sixes at one point. Right. So,
yeah. My sleeper from the AFC East. I promise. I don't think I was drinking when I prepped for this, but. My sleeper is Kenny Stills, and a big reason it is him is because he's going as the first pick in the 12th round. He's wide receiver 53. 2 years ago, when Tannehill was healthy, he finished as wide receiver 28, and that was with Jarvis Landry finishing as the 16th best receiver that year. I don't think Stills, obviously in the 12th round, you're not going to have to start him every single week. You want to do that, but he's a solid guy. You can fill in during a bye, during an injury. Last year with freaking Jay Cutler and David Fales and just basically trash cans throwing to him at quarterback. Still at 6 touchdowns, still nearly 900 yards. And then that last year with Tannehill, he had just over 700 yards, but he had 9 touchdowns. If you listened to us before, we said there's no way Stills is duplicating 9 touchdowns. But still, 6 wasn't too bad, especially with the way the Dolphins' offense was last year. I think if Tannehill can stay healthy, if Stills is going to be his main guy. He's got a lot of trust with him. He can get you around 800 yards, 7 touchdowns. That's a solid backup fantasy player who's not going to kill you if you have to use him. And then the last thing I'll say, Dolphins receivers, 9th easiest schedule for fantasy wide receivers. I don't want to look too much into that stat, but it's a top 10 in regards to easiest, so I would throw it in there just because it helps validate my point.
Look, I understand. I just hate Miami anything. Like, I cannot buy in on the Miami train. The only person I'd consider and I think he's going way too hard, is Kenyon Drake, just for the fact that they're going to be behind so much. I don't think they're going to be throwing the ball downfield. I think he's going to get a lot of receptions just out of that. But I can't support anybody on a team that I feel like is just going to get their ass kicked. And I feel like this team is going to get their ass kicked week in and week out. And going at wide receiver 53, I mean, it's Kenny Stills. He's a third wide receiver at best in most teams. Like, he's just not a good – I don't like their situation. I don't know what Tannehill is going to be coming back. Some guys can return from this. Tannehill, they already don't have confidence in this guy, so I guess maybe he's playing with hell's money, but maybe I'm just doing this off of, we forgot about him. It's a whole year. It's not Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson where they're going to, or where they think or know they're going to be good, but it's Ryan Tannehill where he's just been forgotten.
Look here.
And maybe I'm just kind of throwing him just into the mud because he's just been gone. I'm just going to think he's garbage because how bad the Dolphins were last year with Jay Cutler. And maybe I'm being naive, and a lot of people are being that way. But I cannot see myself taking Kenny Stills in the draft, period. Look, not even going at 12.01.
The thing about having a Dolphins receiver, though, is it's Stills.
Who are their wide receivers?
Because Devontae Parker has been this every offseason. Oh, it's Parker's year. It's Parker's year. Here comes the breakout. And I told you, I'm not going for that. And his average draft position is slowly coming down to where it probably should be. Yeah. But still, if you look at consistency, Tannehill and Stills have that chemistry. It's not quite there with Parker. And then they have Albert Wilson, who's brought in brand new, Danny Amendola, who's brought in brand new, and Mike Gesicki, who's brought in brand new.
That's why it makes me nervous.
Yeah, but if you're looking for a familiar face, it's Kenny Stills. And he's so late. You're getting him at the tail end of the draft. That's not a bad value
other
pick.
Guys I'd rather take chances on at that spot.
That's why they call them sleepers, man. Not everyone can be on them. Not everyone
can be on them. But there's other guys
that
are more of a chance on better offenses that I'm going to grab at 12 in the later rounds than Kenny Stills in a shit offense. I don't support it, and I don't agree, and I think Miami's garbage.
And now that you've broken my heart, let's go on to your AFC East bust.
All right. So this is a weird one for me. I had a really hard time finding a bust in this division because, quite frankly,
the Dolphins are in it. That's why.
No, I think this division is garbage, really. So it's hard to find a bust in a division full of just not very good players.
What you're saying is none of the players are being taken high enough.
Correct, except for Patriots. So, staying on the Patriots theme, I went Sony Michel. I'm going to say Tom Brady going in 5.05 as QB number 3. Now, hear me out. I don't by any means think Brady won't be a top 10 fantasy quarterback at all. That being said, I don't think any QB warrants a 5th-round pick in almost any league besides Aaron Rodgers, and I still think that's too high. I will not take Aaron Rodgers in the 5th round. I wouldn't if he's there, and he'll probably go higher than that. But I just won't do it. I won't. If he's there in the 6th, 7th round, and somebody lets him drop Aaron Rodgers, but I'm always against grabbing a quarterback that early, and I just don't think Todd Brady warrants that. If I don't think Aaron Rodgers, even Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't take. Right. The difference between Tom Brady, who was QB3 last year, and Blake Bortles, who everybody seems to trash and hate, whose team ran the ball all the time and had no wide receivers. Remember that guy? QB13 was only 45 points. That's not a lot of points to be drafting a guy in the 5th round.
Especially when you look at it, what that is on a per-week basis.
Yeah, not only that, but I did a little research.
It's less than 3 points per week, if you think about it that way.
Exactly. Yeah. So just break it down like Ben's breaking it down for me. I'm moving on to the next point, though. Not only that, but guess who's being drafted as the 13th QB right now?
Oh, is it Bortles?
No. It is Andrew Luck.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I forgot. I just looked at that.
So let's just say you can get a guy I think can easily be a top 3 quarterback going at the 13th quarterback position and who could finish higher than Tom Brady. I think that's way too high. So why draft Tom Brady in the 5th round when you can have a guy who will more than likely, in my opinion, outscore him in round 9 or 10?
Yeah, that's a great point. Like you say, it's not like you're predicting Brady to all-out bust. It's that he probably doesn't warrant the pick, which kind of makes him a bust in that sense if a 13th rounder.
Exactly. I think he'll easily be probably top 7 to be quite totally honest. But yeah. I mean. If Andrew Luck is back and healthy, he changes his team. He makes his team better. T.Y. Hilton's freaking stock goes way up. He's a top 3, top 4 quarterback. He really is when he's healthy.
Instead of playing devil's advocate on your Brady pick, what I'm going to do is make one more point. At some point, Father Time is going to catch up. And if it's knocking on the door for Brady and you're spending a 5th rounder on him when you can get still a quality running back or a receiver, like that might not be your guy you're going to do. Maybe you want to take a different quarterback. If you're set on taking a top-tier quarterback, maybe it's the other guy you should take because at some point, that's got to fall apart. Edelman's already suspended. Gronk is hurt every other week. There's these clashes between Belichick and Brady and ownership. It's kind of a perfect storm all coming together. So if it all falls apart, if something bad were to happen, he could be in for a fall statistically. So I don't think I'll take him in the 5th round, but me and you kind of have the same feelings on drafting quarterbacks at the same token. But
yeah, I just think his ceiling just isn't warrant a 5.05 pick where he could fall off the face of the earth, but you can get somebody easily in the 10th round who's going to put up the same numbers as Tom Brady, I think. Especially this year, the older and older he gets, the more and more likely it is that he's going to have.
It's got to happen at some point.
They're going to have to be more conservative. He's going to have to run the ball. They're going to change their offensive strategy, and maybe it's not just him getting worse. Maybe it's just them hiding some like Drew Brees style this year, just not throwing the ball as much. Like Drew Brees did not finish anywhere near.
It was only about 2 short years from when Peyton Manning went from having a noodle arm to 2 years before that throwing 50-some touchdowns. So
exactly,
it can happen, man. It can happen.
So I'm not hating on Tom Brady. I'm just where he's being drafted. It's just not. It doesn't make any sense.
Too high. I agree. My bust is running back from the Buffalo Bills, LaShawn Shady McCoy. He's going as the 6th pick in the 2nd round. That's the 13th running back off the board. I'm expecting a slide in those rankings. 2016, so 2 years ago, he was the 3rd best fantasy running back. Last year, he was the 7th. I'm predicting, and his average draft position kind of agrees with me right now, I don't think he's going to finish as an RB1 this year. I actually could think that he could maybe bottom out as like a low-end RB2. And it's kind of like how you feel about Stills with the Dolphins. That's how I am with McCoy and the Bills. Bills lost their leader in Tyrod, and with losing Tyrod, they lost any chance that I want any Bills in fantasy football this year. They're going to have to key on LaShawn McCoy so much. They're relying on A.J. McCarron, Josh Allen, or Nathan Peterman to be the quarterback. And I saw some actual reports that said Peterman may be in that lead. I tell those people to watch his tape from last year and forget that report. Nathan Peterman shouldn't be in the damn league. All right,
Little Peterman. Remember that time he got to start?
Oh, and cost the Bills.
That's what you're talking about. My favorite.
Yeah, almost a playoff position. And then if you believe in that whole 30-year-old running back kind of deal, this is McCoy's 30-year-old season. So I don't want to put everyone in that same category. I know everyone's train's different, is different. But it's hard to dispute the fact that they fall off some when they hit 30. So he's already dealt with injuries. If you've owned him in the past, you know that he's questionable going into every damn week. Now he's being, basically, at 30 years old, he's being asked to be the focal point of this offense with a young quarterback. And I just can't justify using a 2nd rounder on him. He's basically, we talked about this in the past with a couple of guests. LaShawn McCoy right now is an example of, do you play the guy who's expected to get the volume? Or are you going to pass on the volume guy and take a guy who's going to get less volume but may have a better chance to succeed when given those opportunities? And this is the case where I'm going to pass on the volume and I'm going to give the guy with the higher ceiling, especially if I'm going with McCoy in the 2nd round.
Okay. I'm not too in this to be like argumentative, but again, I hate this. I couldn't disagree with you more. I think he's going exactly where he should be. I think he'll definitely finish as an RB1. And I think this is a product of people seeing all these shiny new toys. Saquon Barkley, Kareem Hunt. I don't know. I'm just trying to go off the top of my head. But Alvin Kamara, all these young guys flashing out. Leonard Fournette, just tearing it up. But you forget these models of consistency, like how I do with Frank Gore constantly, like 2-3 years. Even ago, when I still thought he was going to run out of gas, when he was still putting up good numbers. McCoy is everything I like about a running back. His vision is just ridiculous. His ability to cut on a dime. I mean, for Christ's sakes, that's his Twitter name. Like the vision and the ability to run between the tackles. He can get inside and outside. He'll find holes even if they're keen on him. Plus, he's just a matchup nightmare in the passing game. Like, if there's one guy you're going to use as a security blanket to just bail out to, as one of these shitty quarterbacks is going to do for the Bills, it's going to be LaShawn McCoy. So I'm not scared of people keen on him. I love his volume and his ability to. I'm hoping he does get more loaded boxes. I almost fucked that up. I almost said stacked boxes.
Yeah, you got to correct that.
I hope he does get more loaded boxes because that's more opportunities for him to bust out big runs. And when he's playing in the snow, you can just consider it game over.
Oh yeah, that's 200 plus with 2 touchdowns.
If LaShawn McCoy falls to me and people let him go, I'll take him easily because he just is consistently great and he's explosive. He's actually my comp to Sony Michel. I just decided that right now.
Just at this moment, I'm making the comp. No, see, it's not that I disagree with what you're saying. I totally get it. If people are down on him, you think you're getting a little bit of better value because you have all these rookie running backs who've had like one good year, and what are they going to do? Where McCoy's been doing it since he's been in the league. I get that. Yep. But I almost kind of compare this to what you're doing with Tom Brady. It's like at some point it's going to fall off. Like at some point it's got to happen. And I just think I am to the Bills what you are to the Dolphins. I don't trust them. I don't trust them whatsoever. I think it's going to be a terrible team this year. And I just don't. I get it, man. He's going to get the volume. He's going to get these dump off passes and half point and full point PPR. Yeah, you're gonna get some good weeks out of that. But man, he's just one guy that does wear down. He's always got injury concerns.
We're not talking Kenny Stills. We're not talking Ryan Tannehill. We're talking LaShawn fucking McCoy. This guy's been like the top back in the league. He's consistently been a top 10 running back in the league. We're talking a guy who's done it over and over and over again, and he's just turning 30. I think we could get one more good year out of this guy with him being the only guy that you literally can trust on this offense. The keying on him does not worry me at all. I think it makes me more excited, if anything.
If his body feels anything like mine does at like 30, dude, he is washed. Yeah. He is out.
They work out a little bit more than us.
All right, well, let's disagree on that one. Let's move on to the AFC West. Let's go with your sleeper in the West. My sleeper is the guy that you gave me criticism for a couple podcasts back, Mike Williams of the Los Angeles Chargers, going 11.04. That's a wide receiver 48. He's actually going ahead of your guy, Kenny Stills. I'd much rather have this guy. As you all know, Hunter Henry is out for the year, and Antonio Gates is retired. Maybe. Yeah, who knows? I could see him kind of coming back, but hopefully he stays retired for my Mike Williams pick to work out a little bit more. Those two comprised for 7 touchdowns last year, which is modest. But I think that's on the low side of what they should have actually produced. But in 2016 alone, Henry had 8 touchdowns. Yeah, didn't they combine for like 15 the year before that? It was like 15 touchdowns. Yeah, It was ridiculous. This guy was drafted. I'm going to keep hammering this. I don't have a lot of things because we don't have numbers. We don't have what we saw. He had a herniated disc, all right? This guy was drafted 8th overall, suffered a herniated disc. Now it seems as if he's healthy. The premise that he won't be a factor, I think, to me is a joke. Everybody's on the Tyrell Williams, but this is going to be Phillip Rivers' like new red zone target. This is going to be the guy in the red zone. I just think it's going to be that if Antonio Gates doesn't come back. Okay. Let's hope that this is based off of Antonio Gates not coming back. But Mike Williams is going to be that big target in that area who's going to score touchdowns. I think you're going to see 8 to 10 touchdowns with this guy. I'm telling you. See, the thing what you have going for you here is I'm not a huge Mike Williams fan. Even coming out of the draft, I wasn't that big on him. But if you're getting him in the 11th round, like you said, he's the 48th receiver off the board. He is playing with a future Hall of Famer in Phillip Rivers. That's going to make him relevant. I'll give you that. I will give you that. The Hunter Henry thing absolutely works in your favor because this year in fantasy, I was targeting Hunter Henry. I didn't want a single tight end other than Hunter Henry. That was my guy. Now that he's gone, yeah, that's opening up targets. I don't even care if Gates comes back, to be completely honest with you. That guy moves like Julius Thomas. Like, they're just these blocks at this point. They're just big refrigerators running down the football field. Yeah. I don't even care about that. I think Mike Williams, he's got youth on his side. He's got a little chip on his shoulder because he wasn't able to do it last year. He's got a lot of things kind of just working for him in that sense. If he can stay healthy, yeah, I mean, you're taking him in the 11th round. That's probably a good pick. I can't even hate on it too much just because it's so late. That's the good thing that you have going for him there. Yeah, I
I just think I don't know. I think the big body is going to be such a thing, and Clemson's been producing some pretty good wide receivers. This guy is going to go up, I think, and make some plays as long as he continues to do what he did at Clemson. And doesn't fall off the radar like guys like the old Mike Williams, right? Or things like that. So as long as he can continue to do what he did, I like him in especially in that red zone, man. I really like him there. I think that's where he's going to get targeted the most by Phillip Rivers, he's a smart guy. He knows. I think he'll know what he has in that big body and give him opportunities to make plays. If he doesn't, then maybe he'll go away from him. But I think he'll at least give him a couple opportunities, and if he does, he'll keep going to him.
Yeah, because
if he doesn't, then you'll lose his trust.
Right, because when you look at that offense, I mean, Keenan Allen's going to produce. We know that. Melvin Gordon's going to produce. We know that. And then you kind of have like Tyrell Williams, Mike Williams. Like, which one is going to kind of be that next guy that steps up? And I mean, they invested a top 10 pick in him. It's kind of like what you said with Michelle. You don't draft a guy like that high to just let him sit on the bench, and you got to see what you have.
Give him chances. Yeah.
So, yeah, I can kind of get behind that. I'm not as high as you are on him, but 11th round, that's okay.
Yeah, I'm going to take him like the 8th. Way ahead of everybody.
There you go. I took a receiver from that division as well for my sleeper. Emmanuel Sanders with the Denver Broncos. He's going at the tail end of the 7th. He's going as the 11th pick. That's the 34th receiver off the board. If you remember, I was super down on him last year due to that quarterback situation, and he turned out to be right. Partially, Emmanuel Sanders had some injuries. He only scored 2 more fantasy football points than Eric Decker did last year. So now this year, I'm kind of back on Emmanuel Sanders. I think Case Keenum's the difference maker. I think he's going to make Sanders and Demaryius Thomas fantasy relevant again. Look at what Keenum did last year. He produced nearly 2 wide receiver ones, and I think going into the season, if you just said which receivers would you rather have, Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders or Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, I think most everyone would have taken the Denver duo. So why can't he elevate those guys to the next level? I know that some people are going to say, oh, well, they drafted Cortland Sutton. They're not going to just let him sit. They're going to see what they have there. And I hear that, but I don't think he's going to cut too much into that production in year 1. We talk about it all the time. Rookie wide receivers. Look at Mike Williams last year. Look at Corey Davis last year. Look at John Ross last year. All these guys had all this hype around them, produced 0. So I'm not looking for Sutton to step into their production at some point. At some point, he's going to replace Sanders or Thomas. I get that, but not this year. So with Sanders, I think you're getting wide receiver 2 potential, basically in the 8th round. I think you could even start him weekly if you wanted to load up on running backs early and then bank on receivers later in the draft. Sanders would be that receiver that I would target later in the draft if you're going to try to bank or draft a bunch of running backs early.
Sanders is one of these guys. This whole Broncos offense right now, especially the wide receivers, is one of those guys who's I feel like when I was looking at their ADPs when I was going through prepping for this, I thought they were just going where I guess I would take them.
Right.
Because I just don't know what to. I don't think Case Keenum is good. I know what he did at Minnesota, but I just don't think he's a good quarterback.
To be fair, he's better than Paxton Lynch and Trevor Siemian, correct?
Maybe. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think they're the right place. But I don't know what to do with these guys, so I don't want to. I'm not. Certain guys I'm just not going to pass judgment on yet, like where I'm going to get, what I'm going to see. More than likely, I'm not going to draft anybody from that offense. I just don't think they're going to be that good. They're in a loaded division. I don't like Case Keenum, but I can see people liking their upside if Case Keenum can be consistent like he was in Minnesota.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say this is a sleeper. I'm not going to say he's a bust. I'm just going to leave him where he is. I just don't. I have no thoughts on Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas. And it's so weird because I've thought about it, but I just don't. It's okay, it's this bad analysis, whatever, but I just have no thoughts on them. I have no leaning one way or the other. I just don't care. They don't exist to me.
No, I see what you're saying. I just think his average draft position has dropped to a point where I think you're getting great value there because I think he can finish as a wide receiver too. And right now he's getting drafted in that wide receiver 3 or 4. kind of range. And I just think Sanders can be the guy. I'd rather have Sanders than Thomas this year. I just don't really know what I'm getting from Thomas anymore. He seemed to be like this awesome bubble screen guy with Peyton Manning. And ever since Manning's gone, I don't know what he is anymore. I like Emmanuel Sanders. I'm a big Sanders fan. I kind of always have been. And I think that Keenum can be that guy that if he finishes a top 24 receiver, would not be surprised whatsoever.
I mean, Demaryius Thomas finished, I think, 24th last year.
Yeah, he was right around that time. I know he was.
So it's not like, I mean, everybody was down on him, but he was still a wide receiver 2, which is, you expected him to be whatever.
Yeah.
He's not eating.
He was just
not
healthier.
Eating really good food.
Yeah, right. He was healthier than Sanders too. I think Sanders only played in 12 games. So.
I was a guy who was a big fan of Emmanuel Sanders, and as these quarterbacks said, I mean, he's one of those guys that had route running abilities that were similar to Odell Beckham, where he could just cut off of nothing, and he was in and out of breaks like you wouldn't believe. Mm-hmm. But him and Demaryius Thomas have gotten rough draws since, they could be a really good offense if they wouldn't have a decent quarterback.
Right. Well, let's go on to your AFC West bust.
All right, here we go. Sorry, I'm all over the place trying to figure it out. All right. Oh, I like this one. So I've got 2 busts for you here.
Ooh, bonus coverage.
Yeah. So one bust is the entire Kansas City Chiefs offense.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Look, I love Travis Kelce. I do. But I think he's going to be affected greatly by Patrick Mahomes. I just don't think he's going to be what everybody wants him to be. I think he's overhyped. Everybody's overexcited about this guy, so they're keeping Travis Kelce at the number 2 tight end. I'm not going to get him. I'm not taking him there. I'm not going to get Travis Kelce. Plus, fuck tight end.
I was going to say, you're never going to get Travis Kelce because he's still one of those top 3 guys. He's going to go early, and you're not even going to draft one.
Yeah, I'm not drafting Kareem Hunt. I mean, to me, he brings down the entire offense as a whole. I feel like they're going to be down. I feel like he's going to throw interceptions. I feel like he's going to be a disappointment. So I'm not liking Kareem Hunt. I'm not liking Tyreek Hill. I'm not liking Travis Kelce. Those guys that are being drafted high, I'm nervous. So I am down on the entire Chiefs offense because solely of Patrick Mahomes. They don't have Nagy there, who made Alex Smith into a fucking number 5 fantasy quarterback. He's now with the Bears, making my boy Mitch Trubisky. Weird to say, I'm not a Bears fan. I'm a Packers fan.
Whew.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm down on the entire Chiefs offense. Okay, so moving on to the next one. I'm gonna go Jordy Nelson. All right, 6.11 is his ADP. Wide receiver 29. It's hard to pick a guy going wide receiver 29 to be a bust.
Right.
But this is the guy to me. This is the one guy. People look at the Packers wide receivers. I'm really excited to go on this. In my head, I went on a rant the other night, and it was so great. So we'll see how this goes. People look at the Packers wide receivers the last 20 years and think, oh, they're going to be good at somewhere else, right? Because they succeeded in Green Bay.
Right.
I mean, mind you, they just only had Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers for the last 25 years, whatever. Let me ask you a few questions here. How did James Jones do in Oakland? Or for the New York Giants, whom he got cut by, if I remember correctly.
All I remember about James Jones is I think he just wore a sweatshirt. Next.
Yeah. How about Greg Jennings in Minnesota?
Greg Jennings was so irrelevant. I saw him in Minnesota, and I'm the only one that recognized him. Next.
Yeah, you did. How about Javon Walker for the Raiders? Do you remember that?
Oh, my God. You love Javon Walker. But, man, the fact that he even played for the Raiders fan don't even remember that. Next.
How about Robert Ferguson back in Minnesota as well? Do you remember him?
Robert who? Fungus?
Yeah, exactly.
Next.
Do you guys remember Jarrett Boykin, who had that great year? What a star he turned out to be after his one great year, right? Am I making my point heard here? What is it that makes anyone think that Jordy Nelson, who's going to be at the Raiders, who kill wide receivers, show a hint? What makes them think he's going to show a hint of explosiveness for Oakland?
Right.
He couldn't. He's just not explosive. The only reason Jordy, I can't fuck it up. The only reason Jordy was scoring touchdowns in the first 5 games when Rodgers was there is because of the rapport they have together, all right? Rodgers would run around, and then Jordy would finally get open because he just can't. He legit cannot get open, and then he'd find him for a touchdown. Even fucking Brett Hundley was able to find Devontae Adams.
Right, that's true.
But he couldn't, Jordy, if he was that good, he just couldn't find him. Everybody was thinking Jordy was this, Jordy was that. I mean, do you remember?
Was Jordy at the stadium on Sundays when Hundley played?
I don't even know.
Think he was on the field.
I don't think he showed up because I forgot he was on the field. Randall Cobb, to me, was more of a presence than him.
Oh, for sure.
he just doesn't, and he doesn't have that rapport with Aaron Rodgers in Oakland with Derek Carr in Oakland that he had with Aaron Rodgers, right? They have 100 other targets. They may be mediocre, but they have Cooper. They've got the new guy, Martavis Bryant. They've had Seth Roberts that's been there for a while.
Right.
Now they have Doug Martin Lynch with John Lynch John Gruden calling the fucking plays. Who knows what he's gonna do? I honestly don't think Jordy Nelson sniffs the top 50 wide receivers. Like sniffs it. Like he sniffs that shit. That pussy. I don't believe it.
I was looking at where I had him ranked, and I was like, "Oh, I have to drop him." Like I thought I was kind of low on him, but I'm actually where he is on ADP right now with my rankings. I'm really close, but yeah, I totally agree with you, and that's why I think I have to drop him. He was actually the guy I had down for my bust, but then I looked at his ADP and I was like, "Well, if you take him there and he sucks, like yeah, it'll suck, but you're not maybe requiring him to start every single time." So I took him off, and I had a feeling you might take him, so I left him there for you anyways. But I'm with you, man. I do not want Jordy Nelson. I mean, if he's around like 2 rounds later, maybe after the ADP, I'd maybe take a chance. But receivers are deep, man. You can get some people that are like a little bit flying under the radar. Some of the young guys from the last couple of years who just haven't quite taken that next jump yet. I would take them and their potential over Nelson. Like you said, he can't separate it anymore. He just doesn't have it. He's not going to get open.
He can't do it.
No.
He just can't do it. Like, I love Jordy Nelson not as much as the next person, but when you let somebody go, you have to realize what you actually have. And people are just so stuck on what they saw him produce with Aaron Rodgers.
What he was.
His quarterback isn't fucking Aaron Rodgers. It's just not.
Right.
He doesn't have that thing. Rodgers builds so much stuff off of trust. Derek Carr doesn't know Jordy Nelson. All he's going to know is that fucking guy's not open. I'm going to somebody else. That's it.
I love that line. He doesn't know him. All he knows is he's not open.
That's it. That's what it's going to be. Like, I made a bet at your wedding. I don't know if you remember this. I'm reminding me. Somebody bet me that Jordy Nelson would have 7 touchdowns.
Oh, I do remember that. I don't remember who bet you, but I was there when you did it.
It was your new brother-in-law.
I'm the witness.
Aubrey said I told you that.
That's great.
Yeah.
I wonder if
he said that. You're like, that's about 7 too many.
Oh, there was a lot of Nelson hating going on at that wedding. Yeah. That's great. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. So since I didn't go with Jordy Nelson, man, I went back to where I went with this one last year. And I'll admit it, I was wrong last year. But my bust this year, and it kind of agrees with you because you said the entire Chiefs offense, but it is Tyreek Hill. He's going as the 4th pick in the 3rd round. That's the 11th receiver off the board. You thought maybe I would have learned my lesson last year, but I did not. When I saw Tyreek Hill as wide receiver 11 with a new quarterback on a team that just added Sammy Watkins and just found a running back in Kareem Hunt, bringing back Spencer Ware, I was like, nope, he's going to be my bust. I'm not as down on Tyreek Hill as an actual wide receiver in the NFL as I was last year. I think he proved a few things. But I will take any bet anyone would want to do about him finishing outside of the top 12 receivers this year. I do not like him. And the 3rd round, if you're taking him early in the 3rd round, Hill could potentially be your wide receiver 1, if not like a possible top end like wide receiver 2, depending on how you're drafting. So, yeah, if you want to load up on potential big play receivers and you have him as your wide receiver 2, then go for it. But my strategy, I would prefer to go against that strategy. I'd like more consistency out of a guy that I'm taking that high. And I don't think you're going to get consistency out of Tyreek Hill this year with Patrick Mahomes. Because that offense, with a rookie quarterback and a brand new probably wide receiver 1 in Watkins eventually, they're going to go through some growing pains. So I like Hill. Like, I learned my lesson a little bit last year, but there's no way I'm drafting him in the 3rd round.
Look, I don't think we were actually that wrong last year. And hear me out. I cannot just fathom taking a wide receiver that high who scores that many points, but only scoring that many points in 6 to 8 of the weeks.
Right, there's no consistency.
When you're in the playoffs, when you're in the playoffs, which it happened, he's scoring nothing. Like, there's no in between for Tyreek Hill. It's 20 points or it's 5 points.
Right.
Like, there is nothing in between. He's not. Everybody was saying everybody's saying last year is that he could run all over the field. He was everything wide receiver. He wasn't just going deep. Turns out last year that's all he did. Like, I was watching this guy. He was dropping balls like in the middle of the field.
He went through a drop phase.
Was struggling.
Sure.
Oh my God, he just can't. He's not a possession wide receiver. He's go big or go home, and I cannot fathom having that on my team. I don't want a guy who's going to be my number one receiver 8 of the week scoring less than 10 points. I just can't do that. So, he did put up those. So I was technically wrong because he put up the numbers to be top, 5 or something like that.
Yeah, he finished really high still.
Or 3, yeah. 4, number 4 maybe it was. But they were all in 6 to 8 weeks, which is awesome in the regular season. But then in the playoffs, he's not scoring, and you're done.
Yeah, he won you a couple of weeks, but man, he could have cost you some weeks in the playoffs.
Easily,
yeah,
he did. Because I've looked through this guy's numbers over and over again. I'm like, this, and I watched him week to week, and I was like, he's doing what I said, but a little bit more. And still, I'm wrong. It was like hard for me to like I couldn't argue it because people were like, yeah, blah 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 this, but it's like, go look at his week to week numbers and be like, watch the difference between. Like every other week, it'd be 20 points, it'd be 5 points. So it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to be there this year. I mean, you're taking him. You got to take him so early this year. I don't think there's a chance. Obviously there's a chance, but I give it like a 10% chance he finishes as a wide receiver 1 this year. And I know that might sound crazy to some people, but go ahead, make a mistake on him. He's one of my bigger bust candidates again this year. I'm probably going to hear it because there's a lot of Tyreek Hill truthers out there.
Yeah, one thing I will say in regards to Tyreek Hill is if I am in a best ball league, which I've started to slowly become obsessed with, I actually do like him in those kind of leagues a lot because you're taking your best score from week to week no matter what. So when he does have those huge weeks or those down weeks, it's helping you and not hurting you, and you can have other guys. But I think that's where he has his real value in best ball league. Yeah, that's the only format I can get behind him.
Yeah. Let's jump to the AFC North with your sleeper.
God, you always move so fast. All right. So, being a podcast and a hot take, I'm not a hot take guy, but that's what we're supposed to be. This is going to be a take you've never heard. I think it's going to be I think this is history here. You've never heard this with someone on a podcast trying to make a name, right, for themselves. But out of the AFC North, I've got no sleepers. Got none.
It's a sleepless division.
I sat through it and I looked over and over and over, and I couldn't find a guy with their ADP who I thought was a sleeper. Everybody's going to be like Joe Mixon. Everybody's going to be like Joe Mixon. I think he's being drafted exactly where he could be. And I've said more and more over and over again, that guy's not going to be on my team. I hate him. I hate anybody in that Bengals offense. I don't expect Marvin Lewis to change. I don't think he's going to be successful. So I'd love to be challenged on this subject via Twitter. I was going to say that. So I think we should maybe put up a poll and see if there's any sleepers I'm missing that people think will come to the AFC North, and I'll fight with those people. I'll argue with them.
I will fight
There's nobody out of the AFC North that I expect as a sleeper. I can't, because AJ Green, guys like that, they're not sleepers. He's obviously not a sleeper, but there's nobody I could actually go through every fucking player and look at their ADPs, and there's nobody I thought I would take a couple of rounds higher, would finish higher than where they were drafted.
I like your take, but I find this one kind of funny because this was the only one that I messaged you about prior to writing mine down so that you wouldn't pick the same guy as me, because I thought you would take this guy. But so I just kind of find it funny because I think if I wouldn't take him, this is the one guy you maybe could have vouched for as a sleeper.
Couldn't do it.
Well, my sleeper, since DJ decided to plead the fifth here, is David Njoku.
Yeah.
Tight end 16. He's going as the 4th pick in the 14th round. It's the back end of your draft. Not all of the people in your fantasy league are grabbing multiple tight ends. You can snag Njoku and still potentially get a tight end who I think has a legit chance of being like a top 8 tight end maybe, and you're really risking nothing here. We talked about it a week or two ago, whenever it was. Tyrod loves tight ends. You saw flashes from Njoku last year on a 0-win team. It's his second year. The game should slow down for him a little bit. The NFL for the last however many years is turning into a game of matchups, and David Njoku creates like the ultimate mismatch, especially with the playmakers that the Browns have around him now. The defenses are going to have to key in on all these guys. Njoku's running right down the middle. I think you're going to get great value out of him in the 14th round. So instead of using a waiver wire priority or auction cash or whatever you do on a tight end who's if you're picking him up on the waiver wire, he's going to be a question mark week to week. Use a late round pick on this tight end who still might be a question mark, but at least he has a decently high ceiling. So I would say spend the 13th or 14th rounder on Njoku. Don't have to worry about the waiver wire tight end. I think you can use this guy every single week.
Yeah, so I couldn't talk about a tight end 2 different times on a podcast. So I do like a David Njoku at the round 14. A guy I actually might consider drafting if he's still there in the 14th round.
It just wouldn't feel right to say his name twice.
Yeah.
Back-to-back pods.
Or even any tight end. There's not any time I'm ever going to... There's like I said it one time. I said a tight end's name. That's all I'm going to do. That's it. It's done. But if he's there in the 14th round at that pick and I can get him, I'm going to take him. I'm not going to jump up like 1 or 2 rounds like I'm going to do with a couple other guys to take him. But if he's there at that pick, I will actually... probably draft him.
Yeah, that's mystery right there.
Still not going to give any fucking props to tight ends.
DJ hates tight ends in fantasy football, and he talked about them twice in back-to-back podcasts, so you're seeing history right now on this pod. But, yeah I'm all about Njoku, and you are too, even though you don't want to admit it. So let's go on to your bust.
This fucking kid. All right, so I'm going to go my bust as... Well, I just mentioned him a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Joe Mixon. So he's going in the 11th pick in the second round as RB15. Gio Bernard finished 3 points behind Mixon last year. And amazing. I have zero expectations for the Bengals to improve at all. So AJ Green, he's always going to get his points. That's it. But honestly, I do think... and I think you'd probably agree, I expect the Bengals to be behind a lot. And if you think Marvin Lewis all of a sudden had an epiphany and is like, let's use Joe Mixon all the time, you're crazy. Like, I think you're going to still see a lot of Gio Bernard in those situations, even though everybody thinks you're going to see a lot more Mixon. I don't trust this guy that should have been fired, that everybody is reporting being fired, but then didn't get fired.
Yeah.
Like, what's going to change? How is him and freaking Browns coach Hugh Jackson still coaching? Right. I don't get it. So I guess I mentioned Gio being on the field a lot. I'm gonna say it again. I just don't trust an offense that continues to not run the ball year after year after year, and just all of a sudden think that they're going to start running again. It's the same way I don't trust the Lions year after year.
Yeah, they're pretty similar. I'm not going to fall into this trap. They're really similar. I like Mixon as a player. I don't think you have any qualms of Mixon. I think it's the situation that you hate more than most things.
No, I don't hate Mixon.
Right.
I just hate everything around him.
Right. And I think that's what's going to scare him.
Well, he's not
off.
a good guy, so I guess if we can go with that, I don't like Joe Mixon. He's an asshole.
He's got a wicked right hook. Other than that,
yeah,
a little too high for me. I think I'm pumping the brakes on him. I don't want to call him a bust because I think he could live up to that. I do think he could finish like right outside RB1's high at RB2, and that's about where he's going. So I don't think I'm quite as strong on the bust train as you are, but I get everything you're saying. Like, yeah, they improved the offensive line, but is it going to pan out? Yeah, it looks great on paper right now. It looks better on paper, I guess I should say. But are they going to change their ways? Is he going to be the guy? Is Gio still going to be in the mix? Like, there's a lot of question marks that still surround that. And I would like maybe someone who's a little bit more proven if I'm taking him in the second round. I mean, that's a guy you got to count on every single week. And based on last year's production, are you going to start mixing every single week? No, you wouldn't have wanted to start mixing any of the weeks. So I'd like to see a little bit more. If he explodes this year and I get left behind, so be it. It happens every year. But this is probably a player based on that ADP. I'm with you. You can leave him. We shouldn't be in as many leagues together. We have too many similar feelings on this one.
I can't get on that. I mean, what have they really improved that much? Tackles, but not guards. So let's all settle down a little bit. Yeah,
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see because I like him as a prospect. I think he can be a good running back. He can catch the ball as one of these top-tier running backs. He can produce after the catch, but I don't know. Next level, can he do it? It's yet to be seen. So
I read an article on the Bengals from before the last season saying that they expect the Bengals running game to be massively improved and Joe Mixon to be a lot better. to make to be the difference, to what changes, you know?
Right.
So it's the same situation as like Kerryon Johnson coming in, now Joe Mixon. Like I'm not biting. I will not bite on these fake news articles.
Watch your mouth on Kerryon. That's my boy.
I'm not biting.
Let's go on to my bust. And
I bet you bust.
Like this guy, but man, 3rd round, 6th pick, wide receiver 12 is Josh Gordon. Like everyone, I am, even like Josh Gordon, I'm high on the potential and of what Gordon can be and what he was a few years ago. And he was playing with just garbage at quarterbacks while he was admittedly high or drunk. Like, who knows what this dude could do sober with an actual quarterback. But there is zero chance I can justify taking him as a top 12 wide receiver right now. I like Tyrod. I just said how I don't like the Bills anymore because they got rid of Tyrod. But Tyrod is not producing this top-end wide receivers in fantasy football, and you could argue that he hasn't really been surrounded by top-tier wide receivers to an extent outside of maybe Sammy Watkins, but he was always hurt. But what consistency have we seen from Gordon since he's been back? And what consistency have we seen from Tyrod ever, really, like in terms of an actual passer?
Sammy Watkins.
A little bit here and there, but
when Sammy Watkins was healthy, okay, go ahead.
But yeah, we don't even know like if there's complete chemistry there or anything yet. Like we're talking about a whole new situation, and don't forget, target monster Jarvis Landry's now in the picture, along with 3 running backs, one of which they just brought in, Duke Johnson, who they just re-signed, and then Nick Chubb, who they just drafted high. So they're not going to ignore them. They got Corey Coleman, who they still have faith in, and then David Njoku, who we just talked about. So it's a ton of mouths to feed, and you're taking him as the 12th receiver? I like him. I like what the Browns are doing, but at that current average draft position, no way Josh Gordon is going to be on my team, and I think anyone taking him midway through the 3rd is going to end up disappointed.
I'd be willing to risk it all on Josh Gordon.
You're going to risk it for the biscuit, huh?
I would risk it all on Josh Gordon. This guy, anytime he gets to play, fucking murders teams. Like, I watched him against Green Bay last year just shit all over us. We somehow came back and won that game. But he just destroyed the Packers, which I mean a lot of wide receivers do. But he's consistently, like, when he's on the field, whether he's sober, high, or drunk, he's, like, the best player on the field. Like, that's just what he is.
That's the ultimate compliment you can give to someone. The best player on the field, sober, high, or drunk.
Yeah, it just is. He really is, in my opinion. And with Tyrod Taylor, I actually like him more because Sammy Watkins. Does it seem like Sammy Watkins got smaller once he left Buffalo? For some reason, I thought he was like bigger.
Put it on the poll. Did Sammy Watkins get smaller once he left Buffalo?
Like when I saw him in like who was he playing for the last year? The Rams uniform, I thought he was just significantly smaller.
Maybe he had more Buffalo wings up in Buffalo. I don't know, man.
Looked so much. No, he just looked taller. Oh. Like he just like shrunk and like I don't know. But anyways, when Sammy Watkins and Tyrod Taylor would actually get a chance to play together, they would like light it up. It felt like to me, and I think that's going to be that same combination with Josh Gordon. And as long as Josh Gordon stays on the field, I fucking want that guy on my team. Like I see that name and I get scared. But I shouldn't be. I'd be willing to grab him there.
Okay, that's the tail end of wide receiver ones, though. Like, and wide receivers, there's so many good ones. I mean, we're talking about like people in an area like even like Thielen and Diggs. I would take both those guys. I think
I could have 2 wide receiver ones at that point. If I got a wide receiver, if I got like a 1st round running back, and then went wide receiver with Gordon and fucking AJ Green or something like that.
Maybe I don't know. The potential is there. I get that. But once again, it kind of comes down to consistency for me. I don't think the consistency is going to be there playing with Tyrod with all those
Jarvis
weapons.
Does not make me nervous.
Jarvis makes me nervous. The dude's like a penciled in for like 80-plus receptions.
Yeah, but that was with Miami for every fucking season of his life.
I don't know, man. I think he's just kind of that player.
This is with Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah. Well, once again, we finally got to disagree on one. This is good again.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying.
Let's travel south to the AFC South.
Oh, I love South.
Who is your sleeper there?
All right, so my sleeper is another guy that you gave me some shit on that I disagree on the rankings. Another wide receiver that you loved last year. You had a big
still love him
over. Yeah, but you really loved him last year. Like you backed off greatly on him. Corey Davis. Apparently, I didn't put his ADP down. So I failed there.
My heart is throbbing when you say the word Corey Davis. Do that?
I don't know. So I'm not going to talk numbers with Davis, really, because quite frankly, wasn't really any worth talking about last year.
Right.
Like Mike Williams, I don't like to stake my flag in any rookie wide receiver, but I'm much more willing to jump back on those guys in their second years. Corey Davis came into last year injured and was never healthy.
Right.
I tried to tell Ben, you're Ben, right? Just never get excited about a rookie wide receiver, especially Davis, but you did it because those rookie wide receivers tend to struggle. See, now you're off that train, and now I'm way back on it. Do you remember where I have him at wide receiver?
Yeah, like 19.
Wide receiver 19. Yes. I am back on that train. He's going to be the number one target monster in there. I see Mariota bouncing back this year. I see the offense bouncing back, and I think a big reason of that is going to be because of Corey Davis. Plus, I also am a fan of Derrick Henry as well.
Right.
So, and I know you have a big baller of him as well. So I think the balance between Derrick Henry in the running game and Corey Davis in that passing game is going to come back to what it was similar to 2 years ago. And Corey Davis is going to be a target monster. He's going to put up a lot of yards, a lot of catches, and, probably like 6 to 8 touchdowns. Nothing too exciting. But I think ADP, that'll still... Yeah, for the ADP that I didn't write down. I still think he'll easily be a wide receiver 2. I clearly think he'll be a wide receiver 2 at wide receiver 19 this year. So I am high on the Corey Davis train. I'm going to be trying to grab him.
Let me make it clear. I am not off the train. I am a Corey Davis truther.
You had him like 30th, though.
I know I'm a little low on the rankings, but I'll still take him. I'll bump him up. When you get to the draft, you just can't kind of help yourself sometimes. You should stick to the rankings because you did them, and that's how you feel. But I don't know about everyone else, but I kind of play favorites after a little while, and Corey Davis is going to be a favorite.
Well, you should.
You kind of have to. It's your team.
Yeah, you should play. And I was reading. I did more fantasy football research than I've done, in a span. Just like when I was bored, I would just be sitting around reading articles. But take your guy. If there's a guy, don't grab him at the ADP you think he's going to go. If you like him, grab him a round or two earlier. I'm legitimately going to, and this is my advice to everybody, I'm going to print off a list of just ADPs where everybody's going. And I'm going to go through and highlight a couple of guys that I really like and target them a round or two earlier. I think that's important to do because lots of times, you know what, you got to go with your beliefs, and lots of times you're going to get those things right. Every now and then you're getting them wrong. But don't, be afraid to don't just wait until that round because you're not going to get them.
I agree.
More than likely if you wait till that ADP because I've done that too many times. Last year I made that mistake with both Leonard Fournette and Devontae Adams, which both would have been money for me.
And you know what? You know what happens if you don't do that? So if you don't take your guy a round or two early, you know what you turn into? You turn into
Isaiah
nice pick
Crowell.
Guy.
Yeah, you do. And then, you do. You have to still be nice pick, exactly. And then you end up with a guy like Isaiah Crowell, who I thought I liked, but whatever.
Yeah, but you'll definitely turn into a nice pick guy if someone takes your guy a round or two ahead of where you.
And then you look like an asshole.
Exactly. Don't be that guy. We've said that multiple times. So new listeners, don't be nice pick guy.
Yeah, ever.
Your Corey Davis pick bleeds into my sleeper, which is Marcus Mariota. He's going in the tail end of the 11th round as quarterback 18. 2 years ago, I personally had Mariota as a backup quarterback. It didn't take very long until I turned to him as my weekly guy, and I did not regret it. He didn't go extremely high last year based on that, but I guess there's still hopes that he could still probably be a quarterback one, maybe a tail end kind of guy. Just didn't really work out last year. The Titans' offense never really got going, and a lot of it was because of injuries and youth and kind of question marks at running back between Murray and Henry. So now you're looking at Mariota. He's dropped nearly to the 12th round. There's no pressure on your fantasy team to take him early or even use him every single week. But with Mariota's ability as a rusher, and if that offense can take the next step, we talked about Henry. They added Deion Lewis. Talked about Davis. They still have Rashard Matthews. Still have Delaney Walker. That's a definite quarterback one potential right there that you're literally selecting as a backup. I looked at his numbers last year. 2 years ago, he threw 26 touchdowns. He cut that in half last year. He only threw 13 touchdown passes. Christ. I don't think that's repeating again. I think he's going to come back to that like 26 mark. Yeah. I think if he can finish with like 22 to 25 through the air, add another 3 to 4 on the ground, and you're getting him in, what did I say? Basically the 12th round, so he's probably obviously not going to be even your quarterback one. He can be your backup. But,
I beg to differ.
Well, I mean, for you potentially, but yeah, I'm completely happy. Like I don't know that I'm totally sold on him being my week in, week out guy, but I would take a quarterback later and then come back shortly after with Mariota, knowing that he could finish as a quarterback one.
And you're going to get those rushing stats probably from him as well. Maybe a couple of rushing touchdowns and some decent amount of rushing yards. I've noticed, like, every time we podcast, you have, like, a new word of the week that you use on the podcast.
What is
you know what it is today?
What is it?
Tail end. I don't know how many times you said tail end today. It's been a lot. You're really locked in on the word tail end. And I just can't get over it. You just said tail end.
I love
tail end type of guy.
I do end up doing that a lot.
Yeah, it's you like lock it on a word and you just fucking say it. It's that OCD shit you have. Marcus Mariota, I'm obviously going to semi-agree with because I just told you that I fucking love Corey Davis because I think that offense is going to bounce back. Yeah, I definitely see him more within the 20 touchdown range than the fucking 13 range.
Yeah, that's bad
but
news.
I think the added, I know that 20-something doesn't sound like a lot, but fucking Kirk Cousins, was a top 7 quarterback and finishes with 25 touchdowns and a bunch of yards. So I think you add those rushing yards on you with somebody's in touchdowns, you could have someone similar to Cam Newton, not as good as Cam Newton, but similar to Cam Newton type of player. And with the balance on that team, you have to bounce back because if not, he's got to go. I said this last year. This is like a deciding year for Jameis and
Mariota.
Yeah.
And I forgot to mention one other thing, too. Mariota made, like, fantasy history. The dude threw a touchdown to himself in the playoffs.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was
Try to match that. Any quarterback in the league. Try to match that.
Yeah, that's incredible. I forgot, because I didn't see that, and everybody was, like, doing shit. I think I was playing basketball or something, so I had to watch that highlight, and I was like, no fucking way did he do that.
It was fantastic.
So, I mean, come on.
Right? Let's go on to your bust in the AFC South.
Wait, did that count as a passing and a receiving touchdown in fantasy football?
You bet your ass.
I don't even remember talking about that.
Oh, we did.
Well, my bust is a guy I talk about over and over. I'm going to go back to the quarterback. Deshaun Watson going in round 4 as the first pick of round 4. QB number 2. I've seen people have him QB number 1, which is like, get the fuck out of here. 4.01. For a guy who has played not even one whole year in the league, not a whole year, he's played 7 games, I believe it was. And we've had guys like Kaepernick and Michael Vick and RG3 come before him, do this similar type of thing, and then kind of just go away, right? A guy in his second year is now 1 pick behind Aaron Rodgers, 1 pick behind the most skilled quarterback of all time. Everyone always talks about how he had 19 touchdowns in 7 games, right?
Right.
And that's, I think, to me, not unexpected. With a guy who's that athletic coming into the league with little tape on him, similar to the guys that I just mentioned in Kaepernick and RG3, those type of guys. Well, you know what we haven't talked about that much? Let's talk about his 8 interceptions in those 7 games. Or wait, even better yet, his 19 sacks. He got sacked 19 times in 7 games. So if you extrapolate that out to 16 games, that's approximately 18 interceptions and 40 sacks.
Right.
That's if you're getting sacked 40 times, you're up there in the league leaders, top 3. All right? So from what I see from Watson, he's an inherently bad decision maker. And as defense start to take away those 1 or 2 strengths that he has, so let's say the legs and just the fact that he has a strong arm, I think you'll see a continued lack of accuracy out of this guy and just bad decisions leading to more and more turnovers. Let's just say you won't see any shares of Watson on my team. No chance. 4th round for a guy who's played 1 year. 1 fucking year. 1 half
season.
In 1 year. And it was his rookie year. Like, give me a break. You're taking this guy that high. Like, just don't say I didn't tell you so. I'm mistaking my fucking flag in this camp right here.
All right, so
fuck Deshaun Watson. I hate this guy just for the fact that everybody's hyping it up. That's the only reason. I hate him. I have a hate for Deshaun Watson because of this. I hate you, Deshaun Watson, and it's everybody else's fault.
I like you, Deshaun Watson. Don't listen to DJ. I just don't like him. I just don't like him in that position. I'm with you on that. That's way too early for a guy. Like you said, he played for a handful of games. I'm not passing on like a solid wide receiver in that position for a quarterback who is coming off injury nonetheless. What I do want to ask you, though, I just looked at your wide receiver rankings. Coincidentally, you have DeAndre Hopkins as your wide receiver 1.
Yeah, 100%.
Someone's got to throw him the rock, right?
Anybody can throw him the rock.
That's proven last year.
Like, besides Brock Osweiler, but those pieces of shit were putting up terrible numbers, and he's still going to get 10 to 12 touchdowns, no matter who his quarterback is besides Brock Osweiler. So, yeah, he's going to get his touchdowns from Deshaun Watson because he's smart enough to at least throw the fucking ball his way and give him a chance and find him. DeAndre Hopkins is just that good.
Right.
Like, he's going to get open. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. He's going to put up numbers, just like Calvin Johnson. I'd argue he's better. And Calvin did it with terrible quarterbacks as well. So I don't give a shit about, DeAndre Hopkins is going to get his numbers. Yeah, that's a fact. He'll have a touchdown or 12. But outside of that, what the fuck's he going to do? He's going to turn it over a lot and make bad decisions. It's just going to be, I think it's going to be a disaster outside of DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, see, I think Watson's going too high, and I'm going to kind of put it in the same classification of what you did with Brady here. If you take him that early, and if he has a good year, fine. I don't think he's going to, obviously he's not going to be able to go on to those stats, because if you push out his numbers, he was going to have like 40-some touchdowns. I don't think he's going to end with that this year, and that's what people are kind of thinking that he's going to do. I think you're going to end up being able to get a guy like Matt Stafford or Phillip Rivers, and maybe even I don't want to put Mariota that high, I guess, but you could take one of those kind of guys several rounds later and get very similar production, and the receiver or the running back that you're missing out on, that's what's going to be your missing piece. So I think all these people that are taking Watson in, what was it, the 3rd round or whatever you said?
Fourth round? 4.01.
So either like tail end of the 3rd, early part of the 4th. I just think that, I'm with you on that one. I was really hoping you'd say something about me saying tail end there. I worked that in just for you.
Well, I just blocked it out, I guess. I just fucking hate him. Look, I want to fight you, Deshaun. I hope you listen to Bloated Box. Fuck you.
I don't think we have anything to worry about.
Yeah, well, we should, because everybody else does, because he's going to be garbage, because they're drafting him in the 4th round as a second quarterback.
Yeah, too early. Way
I'm annoyed
too early
by
for
that.
Watson.
Like, I'm actually annoyed. I have no reason to hate Deshaun Watson except for that. This dumbass picks grabbing a 4.0. It's ridiculous.
Right.
I have him ranked as like my quarterback 16.
Yeah, you're a little low. You got to admit you're a little low.
No, not at all. I'm confident. I might move him down.
Let's go on to my bust to wrap this puppy up, and it's actually T.Y. Hilton. Because he's going at the tail end of the 3rd round. He's going at the 11th pick in the 3rd round. Wide receiver 14. DJ, listen to me here. It's July, and your boy Andrew Luck, to my knowledge, still isn't throwing adult-sized footballs down the field.
Fuck it.
I am concerned. Even if Andrew Luck comes back, is he going to be rusty? Is he going to have the timing? Is he going to be 100%? Way too many question marks, and I don't like Hilton without Luck. I do not like him whatsoever. His ADP, drafting him in at the end of the 3rd round, early 4th, that's a weekly starter for you. And if I can get a Jarvis Landry, an Alshon Jeffrey, Larry Fitzgerald, guys like that who are going in like similar positions, I'm going to take any of those guys before I take T.Y. Hilton. And look at T.Y. Hilton throughout his entire career. He's been a yards guy. He's got low touchdown numbers, and he's not a red zone target whatsoever. He's never had more than 7 touchdowns in an entire season, and over the last 3 seasons, he's only averaged 5 per. And right now, he's going in the 3rd round, wide receiver 14. No way I own Hilton without Luck. Slim chance I own him with Luck.
Wow, because you're one of the biggest T.Y. Hilton guys I saw when Andrew Luck was playing.
I like T.Y.
You grabbed him, you drafted him in like every draft I was a part of
Dude,
when Andrew Luck existed.
And you could grab him in daily fantasy, he lit it up.
He's another guy. I fucking love. Guess what? In my head, Andrew Luck is back. He's throwing big footballs. You just haven't seen it. Nobody's seen it. Andrew Luck is back. The Colts are talking like he's back. They're not even questioning the fact that he's not going to be back. Everybody is talking like he's existing. I'm not worried about it. If Aaron Rodgers was out for 2 years, I would still expect him to come back, or a year and a half, and just tear up the league. Andrew Luck is that type of quarterback. He's going to come back, be the same guy that he was, a little more jacked now. Actually, he's been doing steroids,
right.
But he's gonna come back and be that same guy. And T.Y. Hilton is a top fucking 10 wide receiver with Andrew Luck. So I think you're getting him a little late at 3.11 with a healthy Andrew Luck.
Oh no! See, I've got to go the other way on that. I want. He's got to prove it. Like I'm a prove it guy. Like I need to see him do it when Andrew Luck is back, or at some point.
I don't need it. I've already seen it. I
need to see it with Luck being healthy. Like I said, dude.
I saw it with him healthy once.
The last news I heard about Andrew Luck is that he started like a book club with little kids. Like that's what he's doing now. He's starting book clubs.
He was one of the best quarterbacks in the league with a torn labrum.
I love T.Y. Hilton.
He was still one of the best quarterbacks in the league with a torn shoulder muscle. So now that's going to be healthy.
Do it in 2018. I'll stack you guys in 19, all right?
Yeah, well, you know what? T.Y. Hilton's going to he's going to light it up. I'm gonna be grafting him this year if he's there. Maybe. We'll see.
All right, yeah, there's some hesitation there. But
I mean, it all depends. It all depends who's on or around him. But like, it's gonna be hard for me if he's at that. If I'm in the third round and there's not too many people I like, I see T.Y. Hilton on the board. You know, we might get a little. You know, T.Y. Hilton's on the board. Get a little excited, a little chubby.
Let's wrap this puppy up. You got anyone else you want to talk about?
I don't wrap anything up. That's my wife.
Hey.
No.
All right.
At Sean Watson still.
Yeah, no kidding. Man, that was hard. Someone should mention this to Watson. He should just confront you, and I want to see how you act around him in person.
I'm gonna tweet at Deshaun Watson in this and tell him what's up, bitch.
Well, there you go. It's on the board.
And JJ Watt too, just to do it.
Hide behind your computer screen.
I ain't scared.
Well, as always, tweet any questions you'd like us to answer. On Twitter, we're at LoadedBox. Check out our website for our latest blogs, our latest fantasy rankings, our podcast, loadedboxpodcast.wordpress.com. We're available in iTunes by searching Loaded Box. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. Sorry for not posting a podcast for about 2 weeks, but we are back. We should be good for a while now. So, DJ, you haven't done this in a while, but why don't you send us out?
Bye.
Ooh, you still got it.